that are coming from the public. So evidence is integral to both process and to the evaluation of policymaking, but is also fundamental to understanding and improving practice. It embodies claims to truth, but it is also imbued with improper power, And so this power that you seek to influence with policymakers can only be effective through this engagement. So we encourage you that while this capacity development and these workshops are really, really important, that you continue to seek to be involved in processes at the local, even within your communities. There are processes that you can be engaging in to inform policymaking at the national level, at a thematic level, whether it be around energy, mining, environment, the responses to the COVID-19 pandemic, and at a Pan-African level, but also within international networks that including the Africa section of the INCSA network, which is this government network of science advisors, where they do have capacity training for governments, but also importantly, where they bring policymakers to the table. So we encourage you as we close out this capacity strengthening exercises and through the conference that we held, that you continue with your work, and we will be coming to you, myself, Rose, and AFIDEP, and representatives of AFIDEP and AAS, with the ways that we are seeking to continue to unlock both support from African and international sources to support this very important work in evidence-informed decision-making, but also to support you as you continue on this journey. So on behalf of the African Academy of Sciences and my colleagues here working at the Academy of Sciences, please also continue to look out on our website, the African Academy of Sciences website, for opportunities in this area, but also in other areas that we'll be launching soon. Thank you very much, and have a good remainder of your workshop. Thank you, Eucharia.
Yeah, thank you, Savannah. All the greetings are here from the Vice Chancellor of the University. You missed the opening protocol, so I'll send you recording of the events, and I hope we connect. Thank you. Dr. Rose Oranger, you're on. Dr. Rose Oranger is the Director, Public Policy and Communications, African Institute for Development Policy, Academy. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Eucharia. Thank you so much, colleagues who are in this meeting. As Dr. Eucharia said, my name is Rose Oranger. I represent AFIDEP in this meeting, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm really happy of the achievements that the project that Dr. Eucharia has been leading has made over the last 10 months. Yesterday, of course, I was lucky to be in a session that discussed partly some of the activities that have been undertaken, but more importantly, the reflections, of how the different experts sitting in this room are going to be taking forward some of the things that we have been undertaking for the last 10 months. And so that was very encouraging. And so even as this project comes to an end this year, I am happy because I know that what this project has done is to plant a seed, but we are going to see the fruits of that seed more moving forward from what the different experts in this team are going to be doing. And so as AFIDEP, as the group that provided a very small seed grant to Dr. Eucharia to conduct this work, we are very happy, we are very proud of what all of you have achieved over the past month. And of course, I guess before I forget, just to recognize that the funds that Dr. Eucharia has used, and which of course are part of the bigger project that AFIDEP has implemented together with the African Academy of Sciences, the Evidence Leaders in Africa project, have been provided by the Hewlett Foundation in the US through their program on evidence-informed policy making. And so we are grateful to them because they've made all the work we've done under this project possible. As AFIDEP, many of you will know, I think I've been in some of your sessions. AFIDEP, we believe that evidence, and we mean rigorous and robust evidence, has a central role to play in tackling development efforts in Africa. In fact, some of the analysis we do show that some of the development efforts don't achieve much because we are not looking at data, on a day-to-day basis. We are not tracking what our governments are trying to achieve with the resources they put in place, but even importantly, the resources that external friends, donors who are friends to our governments put in. And so we believe that data and good evidence can play a big role. And that is why we support and implement initiatives like the one that you have been involved in, because we know that as AFIDEP, we can't do this alone. We need to have a lot of experts around the continent who are championing the use of good data, the use of evidence, and not just championing this in government agencies, but championing this even in the media, even in the public. We would be very happy to have members of the public holding their village level, or ward level leaders, holding them to account, because they're looking at data and saying, come on, you put in this budget, you allocated this budget for the last year, you didn't spend the budget, or can you tell us how that budget was spent? And so we are hoping that through the various initiatives we implement across the continent, that more and more Africans, be it at community level, be it in the villages, be it in universities where many of you are based, be it in government agencies, be it in the media or parliament, that more and more of us are asking these questions, are looking critically at data, are looking critically at research, to get a sense of how is this informing all these efforts, all this money being put in to improve the lives of so many people across the continent, but yet most of the time achieving so little. And so we are really happy. We know that through this project, we have a lot more champions, added to the team that we already have. We have a lot more champions now in Nigeria, and we know that you'll be creating more champions yourselves, to ensure that we have a lot of people thinking about evidence, thinking about research, thinking about data as they implement various activities, make decisions. And so the role of researchers, the role of government officials is so central in making this dream that we have possible. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to in the next steps of how the agency that Dr. Eucharia has worked in, how we are going to move forward to put the guidelines that have been developed on evidence use into practice. It is one thing to develop guidelines, and then it's another thing to actually get those guidelines used. And the success of all this work we've done this year is going to be seen in how we use those guidelines. And so yesterday we are celebrating a very good closure to a very good project, but really the success of what we've done over the past year is going to be seen in the way, for instance, those guidelines actually get used, to transform how we make decisions, within this agency, to transform how work plans are developed within this agency. And so I'm really looking forward to hear stories of success, stories of learning, from this agency and from all of you. I think yesterday, a lot of you had great ideas and insights on some of the opportunities and ways in which we are going to be applying some of the skills we've learned. And so we are hoping that you don't just put those into practice, but you also bring more people on board through sharing your skills, some of the experiences you've had, sharing with others, so that we have a lot more people involved in evidence-informed decision-making. I can go on and on and on. Dr. Eucharia knows that EIDM, evidence-informed decision-making, is one thing I can talk about for the whole day. And so I'm just really happy that I have more people now going to be talking about this. Thank you so much for being part of this very successful project. And thank you so much for joining the evidence community in Africa. I'm really looking forward to continue being connected with all of you, and of course, interacting hopefully in face-to-face events in the future once this pandemic goes away. Thank you again, and good luck for this session.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. Without wasting much of our time, I believe our energy level is not low yet. We still have expressives in the house. Do we have expressives? I'm not sure we have expressives in the house. The expressives, are you here? All right, analytical. What about you? Amiable, drivers. Okay. Without much ado, we'll be calling on the Dean of Sciences, in the acting Dean of Sciences, in the person of Professor E.E. Essia, to give us a good message.
Morning, everyone. Who's standing on existing protocols. I want to sincerely thank the project, the sponsors of the project, and Dr. Eucharia for leading this project. She's first and foremost an eminent biochemist, as I am. And I want to thank God for that. And deriving from her closing remarks, that says if everyday policies are wrong-headed and reckless and corrupt, then we need to shout. We are in an age and a time that we need to shout on policies that are wrong-headed, policies that are corrupt in our country and in Africa. And this grant came at a no better time than now. And I'm happy that the NNMDA is here. A lot of our projects, our robust evidences are sitting on shelves, and we need to push it out so that policies will be made based on evidence. We have to release our evidences. We have to release all our evidences to enable the government to make policies that will aid in development of our nation. And I'm happy that this is coming from the Faculty of Science, coming from Dr. Eucharia and her team. And I know that she has raised with this project, a lot of evidence leaders have been raised. And we are going to be pushing through with our evidences to ensure that policies that are made will lead to programs of the development of every sector of Nigeria. And I'm telling you that all the departments of the Faculty of Science are involved in this. And I'm happy about that because all of our evidences will now be pushed out, and we will see that our voices are not shut down, and that this project will move from the guidelines into implementation. So I want to thank you, Dr. Eucharia, bring you goodwill greetings from the entire Faculty of Science. And I'm hoping that we are going to go further. And very soon, like the representative of the Minister of Science and Technology said, the University of Port Harcourt will be one of the best universities in the world. Very soon, we are going to be putting ourselves in the map of the best universities. Thank you, and God bless everyone.
You can always do better than that. I thought when she said very soon, University of Port Harcourt will be one of the best, I thought I would have had a very high shout. High ovation. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So we'll be moving on to presentation of policy briefs. And please, we are time bound. As we call on you, make sure you speak. Thank you. So please, Ms. Eucharia, sorry, Ms. Linda, you okay, Carol, can you come up? Just 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Your time starts now. Please. Okay. I don't know if the next person ready. As she's preparing, Miss Esther Chimetse, are you ready? Dr. Clara C. Ifanyobi, are you ready? Okay. Dr. Oluchi Okembo, also get ready. Okay, while we wait for them, we'll quickly go down to presentation and endorsements of the guidelines for evidence use in Nigeria Natural Medicine Development Agency. This will be done by Dr. Ifeoma Chidebe. Please, can we take that very fast? Thank you.
I'm excited to present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the book, Guidelines for Evidence Use in Policy Making in Nigeria Natural Medicine Development Agency, NNMDA. The idea to develop these guidelines was conceptualized out of the desire to add value and increase the impact of the agency's output, which includes promoting target research in traditional medicine and product development, identification and documentation of knowledge and practice of traditional medicine, bioresource conservation, integrating science and technology into a non-medication healing arts, therapies and skills, as well as develop policies that promote traditional medicine practice for the health benefits of the Nigerian populace. Importantly also, this guidelines is geared towards improving the competence of staff in their day-to-day activities through the conscious application of evidence in decision making. Actually, such activities are not entirely new to the agency because as agents of change, the past and current leaderships have continually interacted with stakeholders in the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, with the academia, with public and private institutions and industry to set result-oriented agendas for improved health, national growth, and economic development. In fact, presently, under the leadership of Dr. Samuel Etatu, the agency is actively implementing a 5-year strategic plan, 2019 to 2023. This is a compass to direct the activities of the agency towards our desired goals and outcomes. We believe these guidelines will be immensely beneficial to this drive, as well as to build human capacity as evidence champions in the agency and Nigeria at large. Chapter 1, the first chapter of these guidelines introduces the reader to the broader perspective of what policies are, the act of policy making, and the importance of evidence as a key factor in robust decision and policy making. In the second chapter, the policy making process is further elucidated, highlighting its complexities and key stages. It identifies the different actors and factors that influence the policy-making process, as well as the possible facilitators and again, barriers to evidence use in policy making. Chapter 3 deals with understanding how to develop guidelines of policy frameworks. The key responsibilities at different levels of policy making are identified. Again, here, we have identified 8 priority areas for policy framework for the Nigeria Natural Medicine Development Agency. Chapter 4 tells the reader what a policy question is, how it differs from research questions, and how to develop policy questions at different stages of the policy-making process.
the types of evidence needed to validate each policy question is also presented in this chapter. In chapter 5, the challenges to sourcing relevant evidence was addressed. We identified major sources of evidence for both the policymaker and the researcher, and the steps to develop vigorous search strategies, either as a policymaker or as a researcher. Now, having gotten a grasp in all of the above, the chapter six focuses on developing the knowledge and the skills to critically assess and appraise the strength of all the evidence generated. The user learns how to grade the quality of evidence and the strength of recommendations given. In chapter 7, the applicability and transferability of evidence is assessed through evidence synthesis. The reader is exposed to developing synthesis questions and review methods, as well as writing policy briefs. Finally, chapter 8 handles communication, which is a critical channel for achieving these goals. Some of us that were here yesterday, we can recollect our activities on communication by Rachel Patterson. So in chapter 8, we looked at how to bridge the existing gaps in communication and optimize opportunities for evidence uptake by policymakers, emphasizing on the importance of nurturing relationships among all the actors, that is the policymakers, the researchers, practitioners, and implementers. That's it about the book. And then let me, at this juncture, call on the other members of the guidelines drafting committee. Mrs. Esther Chimezie, please can you join me here? Dr. Justice O. Osuaha, please can you join me? Dr. Blessing Odogu, can you join me? Of course, the project lead, can you join me? Let me call on the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, sir. Can you please join us up here? I call on the Vice Chancellor of the University of Harcourt. Can you please join us here, sir? I call on the DG, Nigeria Natural Medicine Development Agency. Dr. Sam Etatube, can you please join us here, sir? I also would like the wife of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt to please join us at the stage now. So I will hand over the microphone to the project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ifeoma Chidebe. Yes, so here, Mr. Vice Chancellor, the Honorable Minister, the Director General, above one President. These are the members of the Guideline Drafting Committee. The Secretary has been Dr. Bin Nausoha, University of Port Harcourt. So, Vice Chancellor, we are proud to be of this university. We have gone this far, and we hope it will be put to use in the agency of government and an NDA to provide by the Ministry of Science and Technology. So I hand over this task to the agency that will use it so they can appropriate it. They will see it unveiled by the Vice Chancellor and the Minister, and then he will speak to this august audience, making a promise to using these documents in the agency. So I hand over to the Vice Chancellor and the Minister to please do the commissioning by cutting the ribbon that we have here so the agency can make acceptance.
Well, thank you very much. When I was coming here, I didn't really know the much that this team had done. I've just been reading about Dr. Eucharia getting an award what she calls her meetings and their teams, but I didn't know they were really seriously working. Yeah, so congratulations for putting this together. And I know, of course, having listened to the DG, they will surely make use of this. We all will be part of wanting to make sure that our natural medicine grows, because we have a lot of things that will help us. I don't know if we ever ask ourselves, why are we having this wave in the US, in Europe, but in Nigeria, we're not people doing anything, but we are all healthy. Maybe the answer would be in this. So thank you very much. And on the strength of that, DG, you are the organ of representing the Minister of Science and Technology, because you will be the one that will make sure that this agency implements this policy. So I think you hold the scissors. I will only help you to hold the yes. The federal government of Nigeria, and Nigerians in general, unveil this novel output of an intellectual work. I wish we also say that God guiding us and protecting us. Several intellectual property rights will come out of this single work. This is a small step, but it's going to be a giant leap for mankind, for Africa, and for the world. In Jesus' name, I pray. Thank you very much. This
Thank you, Vice Chancellor. Oga Patapata on the top. And actually, like I mentioned, the whole of this idea came through her, through him, to us. And I appreciate, I'm really delighted, I appreciate you for bringing this to Nigeria, to Federal Ministry of Science and Tech, to NMND, and definitely to University of Port Harcourt. If I have my way, maybe I will relocate to Port Harcourt. So I can assure you and all the people and that took part in putting this thing together, that through us, actually something came to me that I wanted to seek permission. If we raise some money, can we produce more copies of this and distribute to as many universities and some other people that want to help? So we will be sorry. Having said that, I can assure you that this thing will go viral, and we will definitely use it as presented. Thank you very much.
So we will present copies to the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, sir, to the Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt, sir. Thank you, sir. To the wife of the Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt. Then I just take the rest and we head home, sir, with your permission. Thank you very much.
Photograph of this group, please.
Please quickly, we'll be taking the presentation. Firstly from Mrs. Linda Ogenekaro. Please, can we take that quickly, just very fast? Great, thank you.
Observed. My name is Linda Ogenekaro, and I'll spend the next 5 minutes summarizing my policy brief. Okay. So the existing policy which we set to influence, okay, the existing policy which we set to influence is the Ease of Doing Business Policy, EODB, and it was enacted in 2017. And the policy issue that our policy brief is set to respond to is, in what ways can the ease of doing business policy be made effective in the informal sector? That's our policy question. And following the identification of the existing policy issue, we were able to coin out the title of our policy brief to be Engaging the Informal Sector in Improving the Productivity of the Nigeria Economy. That's what we have here. So our key messages include the obstacles faced by the small and medium enterprises, SMEs, are numerous, some of which include excessive tax payment, poor credit accessibility, poor power supply, and high level of corruption. This has resulted to 8 out of every 10 small and medium enterprise to fail within the first 3 years of operation. Factoring in the peculiarities of the informal sector will encourage economic growth and reduce the number of Nigerians in abject poverty. Next slide, okay. So as a means of our introduction captures the evidences from reviewed literatures which showed how the Nigeria economy has fared against several indicators according to the World Bank's Ease of Doing Business report. We also have in the introduction the percentage contribution of the informal sector to our national GDP over a period of 20 consecutive years, and research evidence recorded a significant contribution of over 50% in all these years. Next slide, please. So our key findings include, we identified the specific indicators where Nigeria has ranked low, and there are 5 out of 10 indicators used by the World Bank to determine the rank the ease of doing business in economies. Secondly, we also found the deficient access to infrastructure and finance, which is particular to the informal sector, as recorded in 2019 World Economic Forum report. And then our policy options include sensitization of labor force. Given that the Nigeria economy has an estimated 75 in every 100 jobs from the informal sector, there is a need for sensitization. And then the second policy option is the SME growth. The policy should be fashioned in a way that is beneficial to SMEs. And to achieve a favorable entrepreneurial ecosystem, the following recommendations have been made. The first is modification of policy deliverables, and this should be done by our primary audience, those who have direct influence on the policy, which is the PBEC, Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council. We also have the CAC, the Corporate Affairs Commission, and our recommendation to them is to embrace digital technology in fully automating the stages involved in implementing the ease of doing business policy. And finally, we are calling on the PBEC and CAC to include state and local government officials across our 36 states and the FCT, who will in turn work with community and market leaders to sensitize their communities on the need to get involved on the EODB policy, because it becomes a win-win for both the nation and her citizens. Next slide, please. So here we have our references, and we have one of the businesses we see from the informal sector. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can we have Mrs. Esther Chimes here? Are you ready?
Good afternoon, everyone. I stand on the existing protocol. This is policy brief on the baseline quality control of other medicine for improved healthcare delivery in Nigeria. Please let me have the key messages. The key messages told us that most communities in Nigeria depend on herbal medicine for their healthcare delivery, not only for their healthcare delivery, for their social, economic, and cultural values. We also discovered that in line with increased demand and use of natural medicine, it has become a public health concern that the safety, the efficacy, and the quality of the medicine and the practice, the quality of the product and the practice should be evaluated. Then the third one, we discovered that herbal medicine is best used for chronic diseases and infectious diseases like diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular diseases. Let me have an introduction, please. And by the way of introduction, we discovered that traditional medicine has a long history of use in health management, disease prevention, and maintenance of health. And you know that herbal medicine is as old as mankind itself. And if you look around us, despite the crude nature of herbal medicine or traditional medicine, there is still a demand increase in demand of such medicine. And because of such, we now want to evaluate the safety, the efficacy, and the quality of this medicine. If you look around you now, you can discover that Nigeria has a huge plant diversity and bioresources. And we have also vast traditional medical knowledge. Chop it down, maybe I'm taking that. Vast Nigerian medical knowledge. This might be due to our heterogeneous ethnicity. And a lot of work has been done on the use of traditional medicine, or yes, on the use of traditional medicine, both harnessing and exploring the use. And we now discover that despite that, there are still some challenges in the area of efficacy, research awareness, and the rest of them. So because of that, we have now come up with some policy options. But the thing is that the major issue in the use of herbal medicine in Africa, in Nigeria, is in the utilization, and the WHO has helped by developing traditional medicine strategy that can be used to manage such challenges. So we came up with these policy options, and one of them is documentation of comprehensive documentation of database of medicinal plants and medicinal uses, and we say this could be achieved by using through these search engines. Then we need to scale up the curriculum that is being used in training these traditional medicines so that their skills can be also developed for us to have improved healthcare delivery. We also need to promote the research of Nigerian herbal medicine. In fact, we have a lot of policy, key findings and policy options. If you're running too fast. Yeah. Okay, let me quickly. We have a lot of, but the thing is that the key thing that is needed, if you look at this picture now, it shows us an evidence-based herbal medicine that involves a lot of people, not just traditional medicine practitioners. We have the pharmacognosists there, we have the pharmacists there, we have the doctors there. So then the recommendations, in the recommendation, we are recommending that despite the increase in use and the demand of herbal medicine, we find out that the integration of this important medicine into the national healthcare is still very low in Nigeria. So what is it that needs to be done? We are recommending that the Federal Ministry of Health should integrate this important medicine into our national healthcare. We also recommend that researchers to carry out intensive research in order to develop data that will be used for evidence-based herbal medicine. We also recommend that traditional medicine board and traditional medicine practitioners should document their practice. We also recommend that government should create a value chain that will help in marketing of herbal medicine. These are the references. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Esther. Please, Dr. Clara Ifeanyi, can you come up immediately? If possible, you can take less time.
Okay. I promise to be very brief. Good afternoon, everyone, once again. I stand on the existing protocol. I'm here to talk about food, so everybody has to be interested once we talk about food. Just to give you highlights of the policy brief that I developed after the training, ELA training that we had. The title of that policy brief that was developed is Strengthening Climate Change Adaptation Capacity of Farmers in Nigeria, Path to Attaining Agriculture Promotion Policy and Nations Food Security Agenda. As we all know, climate change is everywhere. I don't need to talk about climate change or define climate change. Every sector in Nigeria, globally, it's cut across all sectors. So we all know what climate change is all about. But for us in the agricultural sector, it is we know that climate change is affecting agricultural sector more adversely than every other sector. Why? If you look at the agricultural activity in Nigeria, you see that it's still heavily dependent on weather. We still practice rain-fed agriculture. Also, looking at our farmers, we know that most of our farmers, they still lack the capacity, both financial and the skill to upscale their agricultural activities. I have a little data I put there that out of 10, 9, every Nigerian farmer, that's still subsistence farmers, showing you the level of capacity that the farmers have. Also, majority of them, about 70%, still live under the poverty line of $1.9 per day. It shows you the level of agricultural activity in Nigeria. And looking at the infrastructural side of it, so you see that we have still low mechanization. So making agricultural sector to still depend on rain-fed agriculture heavily. So a lot of effort, conscientious effort has been put in place by the government, both at the federal and the state level, to see that agricultural productivity is increased. In 2011, we saw the ATA, the Agricultural Transformation Agenda, put into place. And at the end of the day, though it successfully awakened that interest in agriculture in the country, but major gaps still exist in the demand and supply gap in major crops. As I put up there, I have a table there that have the major gaps that still exist. Then come the agricultural promotion policy as a follow-up to that, to say that most of the objectives are achieved. But I want to tell you that despite all effort, this policy brief is a proposal that if farmers who are key actors in the agricultural sector, if their capacity to adapt to climate change is not enhanced, the effort of this policy may never be achieved. Because despite what we put in the agricultural sector, if you give farmers a lot of money today to improve their agricultural activities without enhancing their capacity to adapt to the effects and uncertainties of weather, you will see that the uncertainties and risks of weather will still do what? It will still disrupt all that they do. So having climate change effort and plan, integrating it into the promotion agenda and the policy is a key part to achieving this food security agenda of the nation. So we have our recommendation. Let me go straight to the recommendation. These are some of the pictures of the climate event that happened in 2015. I have 6 key recommendations. Number 1 is that the federal government needs to have a coordinated effort and the coordination of all major actors in climate change in the nation. If you look at the scenario, what we have in Nigeria, see, there are so many actors in climate change. Doing all coordinated effort. The researchers are there, intervention agencies are there, government agencies are there. They are doing different things. There is no coordination. There is even duplication of effort, conflict of interest. So the government, I suggested the federal climate change department under the Federal Ministry of Environment could take the lead in doing this thing. Bringing these people, all these actors together, having a database and coordinate the effort, it will yield more results. Then secondly, I will take these two together. The farmers and the extension agents, they need to improve their capacity, their climate change. They need to go beyond awareness of climate change, proper knowledge. The agricultural extension agents, who are the major actors in the agricultural advisory services delivery in the nation. Many of them went to school, like people like me, we never heard of climate change. And now it is with us. So their capacity, their knowledge, their understanding needs to be done what? Need to be enhanced for them to be abreast of what is happening and be able to impact knowledge to the farmers and other people that will need this climate change advisory services. Next slide. Then the infrastructure, the 2 major infrastructure that the federal government needs to look at in the case of climate change is irrigation system and our weather station. If these 2 are upgraded, it will help the farmers a lot. Then the adaptation plan, gender responsive, must be gender responsive. More than 70% of farmers are females. And if these plans are being made without integrating them into the plan, it will not yield any effort. And finally, our indigenous knowledge needs to be upscaled. Most of the indigenous knowledge we have that they are throwing away. They need to upscale them because they are very, very effective in tackling this climate change effects. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ifan. Please, Dr. Ogechi Okeombo, can you please? Okay, Ugochi Okeombo. Thank you.
Good afternoon, our professors, the minister, DG. Thank you very much for coming. My own policy brief after the ILA project is on improving the participation of private health facilities in IDSR reporting. IDSR is Integrated Disease and Surveillance Response. That's the topic. Let's go to introduction. Infectious diseases are caused by pathogens. I know we have microbiologists here, and either as endemic or epidemic in Nigeria have continued to cause significant levels of morbidity and mortality. So the late reporting of disease outbreaks and other health-related events of public health significance is related to poor implementation of the IDSR we're talking about in Nigeria. Next slide. So what are the key messages we got from our evidence? Private health facilities are not part of the IDSR policy technical committee. The private health sector in Nigeria is underexploited and is underdeveloped, and digitization of IDSR tools and processes. You can see when we go further, we'll see this is an example, this is an evidence to show that you can see Federal Ministry of Health, LUS, UNTH, for 2002, they were the members of the technical committee. Next slide. 2009, that was later documented in 2013. You can also see no private health facility as a member. So overview of the IDSR is a means of achieving what we call the International Health Regulation. In 1998, the WHO African region adopted a strategy called the IDSR. So the government of Nigeria introduced IDSR in Nigeria in 2005 with the objective of early outbreak detection and timely response. But we have challenges. So the objective of this policy brief is to be able to take care of those challenges. And the objective is to interrogate the level of compliance by private health facilities and expose the policy options and make evidence-based recommendations to improve the level of compliance by digitizing the IDSR reporting tools and processes. So distribution of health facilities, we have been talking about private health facilities. You can see from the evidence we have here, we have the primary, secondary, and tertiary. Those in medical line would know that the secondary health facilities is made up of mainly the private health facilities. And the secondary health facilities are where you have the specialists like the O&G, the neurologists, which is where we always go to more, because the primary health is like those that take care of vaccination, immunization, and all that. And tertiary is when it's an advanced issue for operations. So private health facility involvement is very, very crucial. Next slide. So the key findings from our evidence: level of awareness and knowledge of IDSR policies among the private health sector is really low. Their participation level is also poor, and we don't have a digitized IDSR tool. So looking at this, you can see the level of awareness from our evidence. You can see from here that 46 out of 80 private health facilities have never heard about IDSR. And 22 out of 80
no correct definition of IDSR. 20 out of 80 health facilities have correct knowledge of IDSR. 23 out of 80 have of the health private health facilities mentioned correctly where to report these diseases to. Next slide. Then we also looked at the private laboratories, which is very, very paramount. And you can see from the southwest of Nigeria, you can see that 17 out of 190 private health laboratories have not heard of, have ever heard of IDSR. 18 out of 190 private laboratories have ever heard. So, next slide, please. So, the level of participation, you can see from here, we looked at 80-80 for both public and private. And from what we can see, ever reported occurrence of disease, 48 for public said yes, 32 said no, 12 only from private said yes, 68 said no. That means it's very, very low. Next slide. Then reasons for not reporting this disease surveillance and notification among these private and both public. The reason, my facility not involved. My facility not involved, only 10 out of 32 of public, 27 out of 68 of private. Their facilities are not involved in the IDSR plan. Forms not supplied to us. That means they are still using the physical form. There are no training or incentives. Next slide. This is also about from the Northeast. We also looked at the private health facilities involvement in reporting disease surveillance and notification. You can see that only 4% are involved, 96% are not. Then the third option we have is the digitization of IDSR2. And we can see that 24 out of 80 private health facilities in Enugu, Nigeria have access to IDSR forms. That's the form. And if we're able to digitize the tools and the processes, we won't need all these forms again. Next slide. So the policy options, involvement of private health facilities in the IDSR technical committee during the 2020 to 2030 phase. There's a new phase for the technical team to review the strategy. So if they are involved, they will participate better. Adequate training, feedback, logistics for our private health facility, digitization of IDSR tools that will take care of late reporting, 0-weekly reports, inadequate training resources if digitization is implemented. Next slide. Recommendations. We're recommending to Federal Ministry of Health to help us and involve private health sector in the technical guidelines committee. The Federal Ministry of Health should also strengthen IDSR reporting by ensuring adequate training, constant communication, because most of them don't know what is happening. Organization of IDSR reporting tools, very, very important. Then lastly, Federal Ministry of Health should initiate a reward scheme to encourage participation of private health facilities in disease surveillance and notification because they are profit-oriented. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Oluchi. Finally, we'll be having vote of thanks by Dr. Chioma Chikere. Are you here? Dr. Chioma Chikere, please come forward.
Good afternoon, everyone. Starting on existing protocols, we are very happy to have all of us here, and we thank you for your audience and participation and all the support you've given us so far. Especially, we acknowledge the assistance and support of the Honorable Minister of Science and Technology, represented by Dr. P.C. Eforzo. We also acknowledge the support of the DGNNMDA, which is an amiable and very hardworking group. We also thank the Hewlett Foundation has funded the project through some of our technical partners like the AFIDEP and AAS, that African Academy of Science. We also acknowledge the support of our untiring acting Vice Chancellor, ably represented by the GVC admin. And we also thank the admirable wife, Dr. Mrs. Ezinne Okodugu, the OPA president. We equally recognize our colleagues, some of our professors that are here, some of our former vice chancellors, acting vice chancellors, and DVCs that are ably represented here. We equally thank some of our government agencies that have been very supportive, and the media for their patronage. We also wish to gratefully express our heartfelt appreciation of Mr. Charles Raphael, who is the spouse of our able evidence leader, our president, Women in Science Uniform, Dr. Eucharia, Nwaichi, who has been very supportive and very supportive, and has always been standing by her side to push her and drive all her aspirations towards the sustainable development. We thank all the ELA team members. We even have some young members, some of our mothers here, some of our scientists are equally nursing moms, and we see that nothing is stopping them from pushing. And then we have Dr. Blessing Odogu there with her little baby who has always been around. We thank you all for your invaluable commitment and the team spirit that made sure that the project became successful at the end of the day. And we hope to have all of us on board as we begin to nurture future endeavors that will see us collaborating to turn out more evidence-driven sustainable development in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. Thank you, as we thank your respective population for getting us to.
Thank you very much. That was a wonderful vote of thanks. Without wasting much of our time, we'll be taking the closing remark by the acting Vice Chancellor of the University of Port Harcourt, Professor Stephen A. Kodo, ably represented by the DVC admin, Professor Regina A. Okali, also ably represented by the Dean of Science, Professor E.
Collaboration. Standing on all the protocols, I want to say a big thank you for everybody for sitting in. I know our glucose levels are low, and I'm sure that our evidence group, they have the evidence behind us. I want to say, listening to the policy briefs, it covers SMEs, herbal medicines, and for herbal medicine, I think we are up to it. Recently, I was part of a team that we are collaborating with the Faculty of Science, Faculty of Pharmaceutical Sciences, and Faculty of Medicine, just to see how we can develop a vaccine for COVID-19. And we want to begin with looking at what is it in us, in our genes, that is making us to just be healthy in the midst of it all, when other nations are having a lot of casualties. And I believe if we get that grant, we are going to be collaborating with the NNMDA, and we are going to see that Nigeria develops a vaccine. I think we are of age to do that. We can't be taking vaccines from other African countries. Not that it's bad. We just want our own, just like Nigeria should be supplying fuel to other nations and not the other way around. So we want to see that happen. And under improved health facilities, food security, that's a big one. Like I said, we have research evidences. We have my colleagues that have developed plant-based treatments that we can use that are dosage-based, and we can see that we talked about diabetes and improving diabetic conditions, hypertension. As you know, I belong to a group of herbal medicine that was just added. One of the women there said she had headache, and just rub an onion, a cut onion on your forehead and you'll be fine. And she came up with this testimony that within 5 minutes the headache was gone. And I was like, what's that? And I told my colleague, and we agreed together that once school reviews, we are going to look at what happened that the onion caused the headache to vanish. So these are evidence-based, like we talked about, and I know that the group that has come up with these policies, we are going to go up from them. We have the younger ones that they are trained, and that we are going to be doing evidence-based and forming and producing evidence-based data that can be used by government to form their policies. Thank you, everyone, and God bless us as we return home. And with that, this occasion is declared closed.
Thank you very much. Please, may we stand as we take a very important step.
On the green lowlands and swampy plains of the New Calabar riverlands, the University of Port Harcourt, a citadel of learning and excellent education, a home of academic enthusiasm. Searching for knowledge and wisdom, enlightenment and self-reliance are needed. Our hope in the future is rooted in God. No vision of
I'll find out briefly. Okay, so now the Honorable Minister will leave the DG to go get food. And our former DVC admin, the acting Vice Chancellor, now the Dean of Science, Our upper president, I will package our food. She has another event to catch now. So please do not rush out. You must have evidence that you are here in your stomach. Please. Thank you. Okay, I've been reminded that we take a group photograph before our upper president disappears too. So we all descend, get the photo. Some of us will come up, get our food, and then we start eating. Thank you. So let's lead the way. Please don't go from there. We take the photograph at the entrance of this building downstairs, and then we all come back, except the upward president. Thank you.
System we use seriously. Give us no issue. Okay, now I want wisdom.